We all procrastinate. We delay important tasks. We scroll instead of start. We wait for motivation that never seems to arrive. And while it's easy to label procrastination as laziness, that's not the truth. That's the root. It's an emotional avoidance pattern, not a moral failure. And when you understand that, you can finally start to change it. In fact, most people who procrastinate care deeply about their goals. They want to succeed. They just feel stuck. Let's do something easier, something pleasurable. And so, you scroll, you snack, you clean, you distract, and for a moment, you feel better. Our brains are hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Not physically painful, but emotionally, that pain might look like fear of failure. But as the deadline gets closer, stress begins to rise. Maybe you grew up being told you weren't good enough. Maybe you've failed once, and now you're afraid to try again. Maybe you've been operating under the identity of I am just not disciplined or I always procrastinate. You start to feel anxious. You think about the consequences. You beat yourself up. And eventually, when the pressure becomes unbearable, force yourself into action. And every day you delay action, those stories get stronger. Instead, tap into the pain of not doing it. To change, you don't just need new habits. You need a new identity. It's not graceful, it's rushed, but it gets done. And the cycle resets. What if I try and I am not good enough? Or fear of criticism. What will people think if this isn't perfect? Or the pain might come from effort that feels unrewarding or overwhelming. And while that might have helped our ancestors survive, it creates big problems in a world of deadlines, dreams, and daily demands. You begin to link action with relief, and procrastination with discomfort, and that flips the script. Procrastination isn't about not wanting to do the work, it's about not wanting to feel something. At the core of procrastination is something called the pleasure versus pain principle. When you procrastinate, it's usually because your brain perceives the task at hand as painful. So, your brain does what it's built to do. It protects you. It says, let's avoid this, but that relief is temporary. That moment of escape creates what we call procrastination cycle. It starts with avoidance and brings a brief sense of comfort. This loop might seem harmless in the short term, but over time, it chips away at your confidence and creates a deeper pattern. Self-sabotage is when you repeatedly act against your own goals and values. Often, it's rooted in past experiences. But here's the truth. These beliefs are not facts. They're stories you've accepted. One of the most powerful tools to break free is to use pain as a motivator, but not the pain of doing the work. Ask yourself, what will it cost me if I keep procrastinating? What happens to my health if I keep putting off exercise? What happens to my career if I delay developing my skills? What happens to my dreams if I never act? When you associate inaction with serious, tangible pain, regret, lost time, missed opportunities, your brain starts to shift. You begin to link action with relief and procrastination with discomfort. And that flips the script. Another major shift comes from letting go of old identities. Stop saying I'm a procrastinator. You are not your habits. You're just someone who learned to cope with discomfort through delay. And that means you can unlearn it. One that doesn't wait for motivation, but creates it through momentum. Start building a new identity. One aligned with consistency. One that takes action even when it's hard. And let's zoom out for a moment, because procrastination isn't just about projects or paperwork. It's often about life itself. Taking the leap, and they tell themselves, one day, but one day becomes never more often than not. People procrastinate on their dreams. They delay starting the business, writing the book, ending the toxic relationship, That's the real tragedy of procrastination. It's not missing a deadline. It's missing a life. And if you don't face the short-term discomfort of action, you face the long-term pain of regret. Regret for the time you can't get back, but it brings fulfillment, growth, and confidence. Regret for the chances you didn't take. Silent ache of knowing you could have done more but didn't. Add music, change your environment. It's to catch yourself faster, to bounce back sooner, to shorten the delay and strengthen your response. Use timers or rewards. Make the experience less painful, so your brain has less to avoid. Regret for the person you could have become. From avoider to action taker, from hesitant to unstoppable. Progress isn't linear. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be persistent. This is where we meet a powerful choice. Discipline or regret. Discipline is uncomfortable. It's waking up early, showing up consistently, saying no to distraction. Start now, but with one small, bold step forward. Develop awareness of your procrastination patterns. When do you delay? What thoughts or feelings come up before you check out? The more aware you are, the more power you have to change. And another, you are not lazy. You are human. Regret is far worse. It's the slow. Discipline lasts minutes. Regret can last a lifetime. So how do you begin to shift? First, use pain as leverage. Visualize the negative consequences of continued inaction, not to scare yourself but to wake yourself up. Next, start small. Create momentum with tiny tasks. Don't aim to finish the whole project, just open the document. Don't run 5 miles, just put on your shoes. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Then, also, find ways to make the habit enjoyable. And most importantly, forgive yourself when you slip. The key isn't to never procrastinate again. So here's the invitation. Start today. Not with massive action. And then another, let your identity shift from procrastinator to producer. You are not broken. And now you are becoming aware, becoming capable, and becoming free. Because the cost of inaction is too high. Because your time matters. Because your life is waiting. So take the first step, and then don't stop.